Hi everyone, my name is Samayoa, and today I will be giving you a persuasive speech about why a school uniform should be required. For many years, the debate of the school uniforms had been a controversy between people who approve them and people who disapprove them. But the question here is, are school uniforms good or bad? Let's find out. I believe that many of us in this class have children or siblings that are dealing with clothing issues at school. I believe that children's clothing choices are responsible for a widespread of academic underperformance and the free range of fashion trends that had led children to more stress and have made them fail their academic performance. But while this issue affects all students in general, I think it's most seen among the socioeconomic groups, where poorer kids are the ones facing these problems the most. As a nanny with over 15 years experience with children across all ages and various socioeconomic groups, I have witnessed the frustrations and dread children feel when faced with fashion choices at school. I have witnessed the stress caused by children competing over what to wear every day and the hassle of waking up every morning and searching for an outfit to put on that day. So I came up with a thesis presentation that if children are directed to wear school uniforms instead of selecting their own clothes, they will experience reduced fashion competition related stress, which will result in improved academic performance. So first, I will discuss a little bit of the history of uniforms. Second, I will want to discuss the issues and stress that leads children reduce their academic performance. And lastly, I will explain how school uniforms remove distractions and stress and how these can lead to improve children's academic performance. So let's take a look at what brought the attention to what kids are wearing at school. But first, let's learn a little bit of the history of uniforms and where that idea comes from. The idea of uniform comes from decades ago, but it hasn't been established yet universally. However, in many cases, many students of all socioeconomic groups are distracted and unfocused at school because they are more focused on what they're wearing. As I said, this trend is not universal, but it has been shown that to have a higher impact in certain school environments. Let me show you some of the history according to PromCon.org. The first recorded use of standardized dress in education may have been in England in the year of 1222, when the Archbishop of Canterbury mandated that students wear robe-like outfits called the coppa, as you can see in the picture right here. But it wasn't until later that, following the tradition's use of uniforms from England, the U.S. brought uniforms to schools, but it was generally limited to private or parochial schools. But then in later years, in 1987, an elementary Cherry Hill school in Baltimore gained most popularity when they come up with uniforms. According to the New York Times, reported on December 1987, most parents reported support on the idea, and almost all students wore uniforms. Then in the 1988, Ed Knock, mayor of New York City, expressed support for a school's uniform, saying that they encourage common respect and improve learning environments. And as you can see, then in 1996, President Bill Clinton also supported the idea of uniform, arguing that if this means that teenagers will stop killing each other over the designer jackets, then public schools should be able to require students to wear school uniforms. So now that we have learned a little bit about the history of uniforms, let's move on to the next point, and let's review some of the problems and causes that children deal with at school and that leads them to not do well in their academic performance. So for that, I have put some statistics, as you can see right here. Some of the problems are that children feel that they feel empowered by wearing designer clothes. They are focusing on wearing the latest trends rather than focusing on their studies, and this leads them to fail their academic performance. However, some parents argue that these will impact their children's unique style. And according to the classroom.com, some opponents of school uniforms think that wearing the same thing every day obviously gets boring and limits an individual's ability to craft a personal and unique style. Another example is one that brought my attention is about Susan, that according to the iristime.com, she left school at the age of 14 after being kicked unconsciously by 5 other classmates. The attack was a culmination of a 2-year bullying. Bullying is another big problem at school. The teenager who wore crab trainers and had no father, Susan, who had been left with a recurring nightmare and prescribed sleeping tablets, told researchers that she stood out in class because she did not wear designer clothes. So as you can see, many of these children are facing bullying at school. They are facing being made fun of by other rich kids that obviously can afford better clothes. And some of these kids fail their academic performance because they don't want to go to school, because they fear that other kids will make fun of them. They feel ashamed of their clothes, and that put a lot of stress on them. Another statistic that I want to show you is not just like bullying is a big problem, but well, the bullying also spreads through other areas, like for students, homosexual students that are being bullied because of their sexual orientation. As you can see in this chart right here, they said that these kind of students were bullied in 2011 based on their sexual orientation. Now that we have learned a little bit of the problems and causes of why not wear, the causes that not wearing school uniforms is impacting on affecting children, let's move on to the next point. And let's explore if there is anything school administrators and the government can do to fix these problems. So I put some statistics, and it says that school uniforms have advantages. And one of them is that students can express their individuality in school uniforms by introducing variations and adding accessories. And I believe that you can be wearing a uniform and still add some accessories to it, and you will still have a unique personality. Uniforms also can help identify intruders in school. Like if someone who comes stranger at school not wearing uniform, obviously you can tell that that person does not belong to that school. Another example is diminish economic and social barrier between students. And according to the publicschoolpreview.com, many school administrators and parents believe that uniforms create a better learning environment at school. First and furthermore, many administrators claim that students are not as distracted by how they look and therefore spend more time learning at school. As you can see in this chart too, there are so many positives about school uniforms. The classroom discipline has increased, images in the community, student safety, school pride, school achievement and attendance. Everything has improved with the school uniforms. Another positive behavior in children is that, for instance, they believe that when students wear uniforms, they feel more professional and thus behave accordingly. According to the conversation.com article, a school claimed that when students come in uniform, it improves discipline and leads to academic gains. However, many parents complain that the cost will, some parents think that the cost will be more if they apply uniforms. Some others argue that it will cost less. But that depends on what material you use for uniforms. As you can see, if you use certain material, the cost will be less. If you use expensive material, obviously it costs more. But I believe that uniforms will still cost you less than buying clothes every year. As you can combine like shoes, as you can see, leather shoes rather than expensive short-sleeved white athletic shoes. And on top of that, when the students all share a uniform appearance at school, socioeconomic students is less visible and students are better able to blend with their classmates, resulting in less stress and better academic success. So now that I have explained the importance of the school uniform, I would like to conclude by reviewing what we have covered and learned in this speech. Reinstating my thesis, if children are directed to wear school uniforms instead of selecting their own clothes, they will experience reduced fashion competition-related stress, which will result in improving academic performance. First, I discussed a little bit of the history of uniform and explain how the students' distractions and stress at school based on their competitive fashion. Second, I discussed the distractions and the stress that leads to failing their academic performance. And lastly, I explained how school uniforms remove distraction and stress and lead the children to improve their academic performance. I think all public schools should be directed to opt school uniforms in order to combat these problems. So I would suggest parents to vote or go tell representatives that you support the children's happiness and academic performance. Tell them that you support school uniforms, not just because it's an economic reduction, but because it could improve many issues children face at school and improve their studies. So I got all this information from these sources, as you can see, and I hope that everything about the school uniform was clear, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.